Our next speaker, Juliane Albuquerque from Android Industries. Just give you a quick introduction. Android Industries and Avance Assembly is a complex modular assembler of 20 assembly plants and over 4,000 global team members. The goal from Android was to implement an integrated new product development APQP solution that can allow all plants to have a single point of data and risk analysis on new product development process, linked to process flows, process FMEA, control plans, integrated APQP management, change management, measurement systems, and make decision-making quite simple. Let me introduce Juliane, is a global automotive quality leader with 18 years of experience in engineering, quality, and operations fields. She's a certified Six Sigma Black Belt, a global IAT of 16949 and ISO 9001 auditor, and a VDA 6.3 global auditor. She holds an MBA in project management, a bachelor's engineering degree in manufacturing engineering, and certifications from MIT Sloan School of Management, including executive certificate in strategy and innovation. Throughout her career, she has demonstrated exceptional leadership skills, managing diverse teams and implementing strategic quality initiatives. Juliane, please take us over.
Good morning, everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here representing Android Avance and talking about a little bit about the experience we have with the Omnex implementation. I believe 3 years ago, we started the journey with Omnex back in 2020. And now we have a good experience to share in terms of APQP development, MSA development, all the digitalization of those documentations, and we mostly migrated from another software to Omnex, outdated software, and we so far having a great experience. We are expanding, and I'd like to share a little bit about our experience here. So a little bit of the company overview, Android Avance. We are a company with 20 assembly plants around the world. So we have plants in North America, in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. Also one plant in Brazil, one plant in Europe. And we so far launched around 75 programs in the company history of 33 years in the automotive industry. So a little bit of the company scope, we started back in 1974 developing tooling and equipment for for the automotive industry and supplying other companies. And in 1988, we were invited to be a automotive modular assembler, since we had all that knowledge on equipment and robots and all that technology we were supplying, and we got offered to start like assembly modules to automotive and started with the General Motors back there. So we are in this field since 1990. We have around 4,300 global team members now, and 750 million modules shipped so far to those customers. So a little bit about our customers back there. We have Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, Michelin, Toyota, and Navistar. Those are all distributed on those 20 plants around the world. So we have a long history with those customers. And this is a little bit of our portfolio. So we have at some point in time, we had assembled all those commodities, and most of them in this slide, we still assemble for those customers in different variances. So we mostly assemble the entire car systems and now we are jumping to the electrical vehicle market as well. So this is a little bit of the company overview. So back in 2020, we found a need for a new software digitalization for APQP. We had a previous one very outdated and no longer updating for the new requirements we had from the customers. And we started looking for a new software. So we established a team. We tried to see what needs we had for a software. We put together some stuff like APQP, program management, integration. This is something we needed for software. Process flow, FEMAs and control plan integrations, change managements, and linkage with the other platforms, the gauge calibrations and MSA, reporting functionality for our performance, and also elimination of some inefficiencies we have throughout the process. And then we went through the need of improve our APQP development, and one of the biggest issues and findings we had was regarding disconnection between control plans, PFEMAs, and process flow. And I believe all the companies who doesn't have a software that integrates that, they have that same issue, and that's the number one IATF nonconformance from all the automotive companies. So once we found this balance, we could eliminate that nonconformance in all of our plants who did a good job implementing transition into the software. So also we have those, by that time we had 21 plants, and we had the need to integrate those plants inside the software, having all those plants accessing one single platform, and having the corporate launch team being able to provide updates and inputs to those documentation, making sure we have the transfer from the launch process to the production process successfully. So this is something else we tried to cover, and we found that in Omnex. So those are the platforms we have so far. We have the MSA Pro, Doc Pro, PPAP, APQP. So now we are working on starting the implementation of the PPAP program management. That's something we are looking to to start working on this. We have the platform, but it's something we didn't start working for the launch management. But we do have the APQP, FEMAs and control plans, gauge calibration, the data reporting, and also the change management that we recently launched in our company. So this is something I just put this slide because I want to talk a little bit about the how the software works, I believe, for whoever is not familiar with Omnex. So they have those snowflake tree, so you can access all the applications. Also, we can manage authorizations through the modules. This is very important to us because we have all the plants, and each plant, they need individual access to their content, but also we need to make sure the corporate team can also see all the plant's documentation. So, because we work with the corporate team, and then the corporate team launch the plant and transfers the responsibility for the plants, we need to make sure we can still manage master documentations and making sure we feed the plants with that information. So that's a good functionality we found. And also we can determine some internal champions, which was very important, having those internal champions in the company able to manage those applications and making sure they provide correct access to the users. So this was a little bit of the roadmap. We started with the installation, implementation workshops, and data migration. This was a huge piece of the implementation because we had a lot of FEMAs from all different plants and all different commodities to migrate from the old software to Omnex. So we were able to get the Excel FEMAs and migrate to Omnex, and the plants, they started working on their documentation, refining documents and making sure everything aligns. It was a good learning for us because I believe, and we had some challenges to overcome because we had to change a little bit the culture of the plants team in order to make sure they understand that the connection with the documentation needs to be 100%. So if I change something in the control plan, my FEMA is going to change, and there's no way to avoid that, right? So it was a cultural change on the launch team and the engineers on the plants, but I believe now they are having more clarity on that requirement. So we started with some Omnex guidance, and then we developed the Aqua Pro first, setting up the 21 sites, and we migrated all the documentation. MSA Pro, we had those Android gauges all migrated to the software. This was a big challenge because we know for a company, we are managing now around like more than 5,000 gauges and around all those plants. It's a huge volume of gauges. We need to make sure calibration is done. And once we migrated to the software, we could set up those escalations and the reminders. So all the team members were receiving reminders on their calibration. And I was auditing one of our biggest plants in Arlington, and this was something we didn't find any issue, any minor, because the system was sending the alerts to the team, and they had everything like 100% compliance, and it was a plant that manages like thousands of gauges. So we were super successful on this point, and also the MSA studies customizations. MSA is kind of complicated, I believe, for everybody in the quality field. It's a big manual. We need to understand all those formulas and everything. So it was something we were trying to improve in the company. And once we implemented the software, all the plants who did a successful usage of the application, now they have their MSA studies all automatically calculated in there. So it was a huge improvement to us as well. And the change management implementation, it's a recent implementation, but it's already working. We have all those change management flows. We can set up the team. We can have the signatures. We can manage evidences, tasks, and everything. So, and the approval flow is really helping our process. So a little bit of our structure. This is how we structured our baseline PFEMAs. So now we are starting designing those baselines to streamline with the plant's FEMAs so we can have master documentation. We have a lot of commodities, and we are trying to share lessons learned from one plant to another plant and making a master document so we can improve our processes. And for the new launches as well, we can use all the lessons learned throughout new launches from the baselines. And this is how our systems is set up. So we have the corporate, the global team, who is the headquarters team who access the global and see all the plants. And then each plant, they have their own space in the product tree, and based on their information in the system, they can add their commodities, and for each commodity, they can add specific part numbers. So that's something it's working very well, and because each site can individually manage their own documentation without interfering in another plants, and also corporate can access their documentation and can modify as we get learning from the baseline FEMAs. We can implement those learnings to the plants. So this is a little bit of the structure. So, and also something that was helpful to us is the fact we have those templates. So I'm not sure, we never had that in other software. And the fact we had the new AIG VDA deployment, we have a specific template for General Motors. They work with the RPLs instead of the RPNs. And with the software, we were able to switch between the templates. And then when we switch between the templates, we actually don't need to make changes in the content. So the software transitions everything to the new template, and we can meet the requirements from all different customers. And General Motors, the new VDA 6.3, we have also templates for the regular AIG FEMA. So those templates functionality allow us to be flexible, save time. We don't need to build 4 different FEMAs. We can have one FEMA and switch between those templates, and we are going to be meeting all the customer requirements. So a little bit of the MSA Pro. We implemented the MSA Pro for verbal gauge R&R, calibration management, and attribute. So in Omnex, the team did a really good job helping us customizing some MSA studies for vision systems. We have a lot of cameras for error-proofing, and we need to do attribute gauge R&R on those cameras. And also we have visual inspection, operator visual. So the team helped us setting up those studies based on the MSA manual calculations. And now our plants can put all their cameras, vision systems in there, and they can manage the MSA studies through the software. So that was a really good thing. Also, it helps us to remind on the calibration service providers when we have some suppliers expiring calibration, we can get reminders from the alerts from the software, and we know that ISO certificate is expired. We can ask for another one. This was another non-conformance, and I believe all the companies struggle with that when you manage emails from the suppliers and no one remembers to go back and see if they are expired. So the software helps us with that as well. So for the change management, this is not ours, just an example that I got from Omnex. So this is the change management application we recently added. So we create the engineering request, and then the system generates the ECR form. So this is helping us significantly with managing change during the launch process. So we have 10 concurrent launches going on. And from those launches, all the change management from the customer. So if something changes from SOR requirement, we are now able to track all those changes using the software. And it's helping us to engage the commercial team, the sales, the internal engineering team, and everyone who will be impacted by that change can approve and can acknowledge on the change. And also we can define what we are going to do as an action plan to make sure that change is successfully implemented and covered by our current launch, right? So something that's also nice, the fact we have the cloud-based solution, we don't need to have a big hardware, a server in the company to store all that information from Omnex. So everything is cloud based, and it helps us to have a good access interaction. So Omnex can access my information. If they need to help us, they can quickly go there and they can help us to fix an issue or something and improve something. For the maintenance standpoint, it's really helpful as well. We also can have the international support from Omnex team in all the locations they have, and we can ensure we can work remotely well. So I believe this is something that came up since the pandemic times. All the companies are trying to make their systems better, eliminate manual work, and the software came up in a good time for us. and talking a little bit more about the virtual working. So those are some highlights. So the fact we have the programs linked with specific commodities and sites, we can have the corporate team accessing the software, and we can control all the sites. We can help the sites if they need help. We can have multiple groups of access. We can improve the tracking of the APQP documentation, all remotely. Also, for the product and for Alco Pro, we have those logic paths for accessing the documentation, which helps us because we have so many commodities in so many different plants. In some plants, we have multiple customers. So we need to make sure in some plants we use two or three different FEMA templates. We need to make sure we can have the proper meet the customer requirements in one single plan in 3 different ways, and the software helps us with that. So for the MSA gauge management as well, we can manage those escalations. And for the change management, we can have those escalations set up as well. So this all allows us to do a good job remote working and allowing our plants all around the world. So we have plants in different time zones, and they can all work together in one application. So for our next steps, what we want to do, we are expecting to have to set up. So we have the platform, but we need to spend some time with Omnex team to set up the risk reduction rates. So we need to build those charts to see how our documentation is aligned. So we need to start doing some RPN Paretos and setting up some dashboards for new failure modes, for training failure modes, high severities, and have those handy for all the plants. And this is our next step for the EWQMS. And the next one, we are talking to Omnex about getting the supplier APQP management implementation. This is a new application. We are now start dealing with more suppliers ownership in terms of APQP and PPAP approval. So that's something, and I believe someone today is going to talk about that application later. And we are really interested to see this one. And also the deployment for supplier audits and metrics. So this is our next step, things we want to improve. And one more thing, our program management just mentioned the program management application under PPAP Pro, start managing the launch timing and all the timelines, all the gate review process in the software is a huge gain as well. So those are a couple of things we want to tackle in the near future. Thank you so much, everyone. So it was a pleasure speaking here, and I hope to hear more today about the software. Thank you.